I sit alone on the edge of my childhood bed, the one I've slept in for 31 years, holding a framed family photo from my sister's college graduation. We're all smiling, mom and dad beaming with pride, Vanessa radiant in her cap and gown, and me standing slightly to the side, my smile not quite reaching my eyes. The sound of Vanessa's sobs drifts up from downstairs, punctuated by my mother's murmured comforts. My hands tremble as I place the photo face down on my nightstand. A sharp knock rattles my door, and without waiting for a response, my father pushes it open. The lines in his face seem carved deeper today, his complexion ashen but rattan. "How could you do this to your own sister?" His voice cracks with barely contained rage. "Dad, what are you talking about?" But even as I ask, a cold dread pools in my stomach. Downstairs. Now. He turns abruptly, expecting me to follow. In our living room, Mom perches on the edge of the sofa, dabbing her eyes with a crumpled tissue. Vanessa paces between the coffee table and the fireplace, her designer heels clicking accusingly against the hardwood floor. James, her fiancé, stands with his arm around her shoulders whenever she pauses, his face a mask of stern disapproval. "What exactly am I being accused of?" I ask, wrapping my arms around myself. Vanessa whirls toward me, her mascara smeared beneath red-rimmed eyes. "My engagement ring is gone," she shrieks. "The 3-carat diamond that's been in James's family for 4 generations. The accusation hangs in the air between us." "And why would you think I had anything to do with that?" My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Mom clears her throat. "You were the only one home yesterday when Vanessa took it off to do the dishes." "And we found your little savings stash," Dad adds, his eyes never meeting mine. $2,500 hidden in a shoebox in your closet. For a moment, I'm transported back to our childhood Vanessa, and me climbing the massive oak tree in the backyard, laughing and reaching for the highest branches. Then the image shifts to Vanessa's graduation from Princeton, our parents' faces glowing with pride while I stood in the background, community college brochures stuffed in my purse. Later that night, as I served the dessert I'd made from scratch, I'd whispered my dream of pastry school, only to be met with polite smiles and quickly diverted conversation. "That money is for pastry school," I say, my throat tight. "I've been saving for years." Vanessa scoffs, tossing her perfect hair. "You've been talking about pastry school forever, but never had money before." "We should check pawn shops in the neighboring towns," James suggests, pulling out his phone. "It's a distinctive setting, Edwardian era. Platinum with—" "Wait." I hold up my hands. "You seriously think I stole your ring and pawned it?" Mom and Dad exchange a look that slices through me, a look of disappointment, but not surprise, as if they've always been waiting for me to reveal my true, lesser nature. Dad squares his shoulders. "You have 48 hours to pack your things and leave this house." The decree lands like a physical blow. I search each face for any sign of doubt, any crack in their certainty of my guilt. There is none. Rain begins to tap against the windows as evening approaches, the warm oak tones of our family home suddenly feeling cold and foreign. With a strange sense of calm that comes only in moments of absolute crisis, I open my wallet and remove the small family photos I've carried for years. I place them deliberately on the coffee table. "I didn't take the ring," I say, my voice steady. "Someday you'll realize that." Mom's tissue doesn't catch her fresh tears. Dad's face hardens further. Vanessa watches with a strange mixture of triumph and uncertainty as I climb the stairs alone to begin packing. In my room, I stare out the window at the gathering storm. The rain falls harder now, mirroring the tears I refuse to shed. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a text from my cousin Daniel. "Whatever you need, I'm here." I press my forehead against the cool glass and whisper to the empty room. Where do you go when the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally believe the worst about you? The house below me continues to buzz with activity phone calls being made. Rumors already spreading. My reputation dissolving in real time. I pull my suitcase from the closet and begin the systematic dismantling of the only life I've ever known. They've made their choice. And now, with the weight of their betrayal pressing down on me from all sides, I have no choice but to make mine. Rain pelts my shoulders as I drag my suitcase through puddles that mirror the dark sky above. The wheels catch on cracks in the sidewalk, jolting my arm with each obstacle, as if the universe itself is creating roadblocks. My phone buzzes again the 5th time in 20 minutes. I don't need to look to know it's Vanessa. The thought of her name sends a fresh wave of betrayal washing over me. When I reach Daniel's apartment building, I pause under the meager shelter of the entrance overhang, water dripping from my hair onto already soaked shoulders. The buzzer feels cold under my fingertip. "It's me," I say, my voice barely audible over the storm. Daniel's apartment is small and cluttered with military memorabilia and textbooks from his night classes, but it's warm in a way that has nothing to do with temperature. The couch has been transformed with fresh sheets, a folded blanket, and a pillow that looks newer than anything else in the apartment. A stack of clean towels sits on the coffee table beside a mug of steaming tea. "You're soaked," he says, taking my suitcase. "Get changed, then we'll talk." In the bathroom, I catch my reflection in the mirror, mascara trailing down cheeks I didn't realize were wet with more than rain. The woman staring back at me looks like a stranger, her eyes holding a hollowness I've never seen before. When I emerge in borrowed sweatpants and an oversized Air Force t-shirt, Daniel sits waiting, 2 mugs of tea on the coffee table between us. "Start from the beginning," he says, and there's no pity in his voice, just steady resolve that somehow makes it possible to speak. My phone buzzes for the 30th time that morning. 29 notifications I've ignored, but this one demands attention, my boss's name flashing on the screen. I answer with a hand that won't stop trembling. "Charlotte," his voice catches. "Look, you know I think you're a great employee, but the Morgans are our biggest donors for the community fund. And Vanessa's fiance's family owns half the commercial property downtown." The pit in my stomach deepens with each word. "We can't have this kind of publicity. I'm sorry." The call ends, and I set the phone down carefully, as if any sudden movement might shatter what little remains of my life. Daniel looks up from his laptop, his expression darkening as he reads my face. "What happened?" I play the first voicemail message from earlier, setting it on speaker. A friend from high school's voice fills the room. "Charlotte, your sister told everyone you stole from her. Is it true? Call me back." Each message grows progressively worse. By the end, Daniel's jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscle twitch. "They didn't just take your home," he says quietly. "They're making sure you have nowhere to go." That night, I scroll through social media, each swipe revealing new devastation. Vanessa's tearful post has hundreds of sympathetic comments. Betrayal and theft within my own family. The person I trusted most has broken my heart. Mom and Dad's subtle reinforcement sits beneath. "We're here for you, sweetheart. Family stands together through terrible ordeals. Except me. I'm not family anymore." I keep scrolling back through years of photo sour annual Christmas card pictures, Vanessa's graduation, family vacations. In every image, the pattern is unmistakable. Vanessa central, Mom and Dad flanking her, and me, slightly apart. Not quite excluded, but not fully included either. "They've been preparing to believe the worst about you for years." Daniel observes over my shoulder, handing me a mug of decaf. "Look how they're positioned. It's like they've always seen you as separate." The realization lands with stunning clarity. "Family is supposed to be who you can count on most," I whisper. "Sometimes the family you choose matters more than the one you're born into," Daniel replies, and then his phone buzzes. "That's Emma. She's bringing groceries." An hour later, Daniel's small apartment hosts an unlikely gathering. Emma from the store brings not just groceries, but hugs that feel like lifelines. Daniel's friend Marcus offers connections at the warehouse where he works as a supervisor. His girlfriend Tara mentions her cousin needs weekend help at a local diner. As they talk around me, building a safety net I never knew I needed. The contrast sharpens between the family that discarded me and these friends who believe in me without question. The alarm blares at 5 a.m. I shut it off before it wakes Daniel, moving quietly through the unfamiliar morning ritual in his apartment. The coffee maker gurgles as I open my laptop, sending out another dozen job applications before the sun rises. By afternoon, I stand in the back of Rosie's diner, hands submerged in soapy water, scrubbing pots that refuse to surrender their baked-on residue. The work is mindless but honest. Each clean dish represents a tiny step toward independence. "You're overqualified," Rosie had said during my interview, spectacles perched on her nose as she reviewed my application. "But you've got honest eyes. Can you start today?" At the end of my shift, I count out the meager tips shared with the kitchen staff, $12.43. I record the amount in a small notebook Daniel gave me, adding it to yesterday's earnings. The growing tally represents more than money. It's the first chapter of my self-reliance. That evening, I walk into the credit union with my first week's pay, heart pounding as I approach the teller. "I'd like to open an account," I say, my voice stronger than I expected. Just my name on it. The simple act of signing my name alone on the form feels like planting a flag on newly discovered territory. 3 weeks later, the letter arrives at Daniel's apartment. Heavy cream stationery, my father's law firm's letterhead prominent at the top. My hands tremble as I read demands to cease harassment of the Morgan family, threatening legal action if I continue attempting contact. Daniel reads over my shoulder, his expression grave. "They're creating a paper trail." "But I haven't even tried to contact them," I whisper, the paper shaking in my hands. "They're building a narrative, making themselves the victims." He takes the letter, folding it carefully. "We should keep this." That night, sleep evades me. The uncomfortable couch pokes at my back as I stare at the ceiling, moonlight casting shadows across unfamiliar terrain. Behind my closed eyes, memories surface Vanessa at the kitchen sink, laughing about something James said, slipping off her ring to wash dishes. I bolt upright, sudden clarity washing over me. The ring I remember now. Vanessa set it on the counter edge. I saw it wobble, watched it slide into that gap between the counter and the wall. I'd meant to mention it, but Mom called me to help bring in groceries. My finger hovers over Dad's contact on my phone. One call could end this, one simple explanation. Slowly, I set the phone down. They wouldn't believe me anyway. The certainty settles into my bones like a truth I've always known, but never acknowledged. Tomorrow, I'll pick up extra shifts at the diner. Next week, I'll follow up on the warehouse application. And someday, I'll build a life so solid that their absence feels less like an amputation and more like a distant scar. My hands cradle the envelope, turning it over 3 times before I dare to rip it open. The warehouse break room falls silent as my coworkers lean in. Their coffee cups pause midway to lips. "Well?" Marcus asks, his weathered face creasing with anticipation. I pull out the official letter and scan the first paragraph. The words blur, then sharpen as my vision clears. "I got it," I whisper, then louder. "They promoted me to shift supervisor." The room erupts in cheers that feel genuine, not the polite, measured approval I grew accustomed to at family dinners. Marcus claps me on the shoulder with calloused hands, and Janice, who trained me 9 months ago when I stumbled in desperate for any job, wraps me in a hug that smells of cardboard and cinnamon gum. "Nobody deserves it more, Charlotte," she says. "From dishwasher to warehouse supervision in less than a year? That's real grit." I don't tell her about the nights I practiced inventory systems until my eyes burned, or how I memorized shipping regulations on my lunch breaks. Some transformations happen in the quiet spaces between survival. The apartment key feels substantial in my palm as I climb 4 flights of stairs. My thighs burn by the 3rd floor, a familiar discomfort I'm growing to appreciate. Pain with purpose feels different from pain without reason. "Home sweet home," I murmur, pushing open the door to my studio apartment. It's smaller than my childhood bedroom, with one window overlooking a brick wall and pipes that knock when the upstairs neighbor showers. But the first month's rent and security deposit came from my own earnings, saved dollar by dollar over half a year. No family loans, no conditions attached. I drop my backpack on the futon that doubles as my bed and collapse beside it, Still in my work clothes. My fingers find the crinkled newspaper folded in my pocket, the one I've been avoiding all day. With a deep breath, I smooth it open on my lap. Vanessa's perfect smile beams up at me from the society page. Local attorney to Wednesday investment banker in spring ceremony. The headline announces. James stands beside her, his arm possessively around her waist, the replacement ring glittering on her finger. My stomach lurches. I press my hand flat against the cold brick wall until the dizziness passes. Christmas decorations frame their photographer wreath in the background, tiny lights twinkling. The holiday season has ambushed me, appearing in store windows and radio jingles when I wasn't looking. For 31 years, Christmas meant Mom's sugar cookies and Dad reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" on Christmas Eve, no matter how old we were. It meant Vanessa and I hanging ornaments on the tree, fighting over who got to place the star on top. A knock at my door saves me from drowning in memory. Daniel stands in the hallway holding a small tabletop Christmas tree in a plastic pot, its miniature branches dusted with fake snow. "Thought you might need this," he says, setting it on my kitchen counter, which is really just a 2-foot section of the wall with a microwave and hot plate. Time to make new traditions. He doesn't mention the newspaper or ask why my eyes are red. This is what real family does. They know when to speak, and when silence is the greater kindness. My apartment transforms slowly, one personal touch at a time. A wall of Polaroid photos grows beside my futon snapshots of people who entered my life after everything fell apart. Daniel teaching me how to change a flat tire. Emma and her girlfriend inviting me for Sunday brunch. Marcus showing me how to operate the forklift. My calendar hangs beside them. The 15th of January circled in red marker. Beside it, the confirmation email for my night classes in business basics, printed and tacked up as a daily reminder. I'm reviewing my bank statement at my small folding table when I allow myself a rare moment of pride. 9 months of careful budgeting has yielded consistent growth in my savings. Not enough for tuition yet, but a foundation. Evidence of possibility. To Charlotte. 6 voices cheer in unison, raising glasses above plates of half-eaten diner food. Emma organized this birthday gathering me first, since the implosion of my old life. The booth at Denny's isn't exactly the formal dinner my parents would have arranged, but the laughter feels more nourishing than any gourmet meal. Open mine next. Daniel urges, sliding a small package across the table. Inside is a gift card for professional clothes. For when you start taking over the business world, he explains. Each gift reflects thoughtful attention to who I'm becoming, a cookbook from Emma, pastry tools from Marcus and his wife, even a set of quality knives from Janice, who barely knows me outside of work. I want to say something. I announce, my voice steadier than I expected. A year ago, I had a bigger house, but a smaller life. The words catch in my throat, but I push through. Thank you for showing me what real support looks like. Daniel raises his coffee mug. To the strongest person I know. The phrase settles over me like a new identity I'm still trying on for size. The fluorescent lights of the hardware store cast everyone in an unflattering glow. I'm comparing different brands of spackling paste to patch a hole in my apartment wall when I spot him, father, examining electrical switches 3 aisles over. Time slows as he turns slightly, his profile achingly familiar. The same wire-rimmed glasses. The same methodical way he reads product specifications. For a second, his eyes flick toward me, a flash of recognition crossing his face before he deliberately turns away, continuing his shopping as if I'm a stranger. I wait for the collapse, for the pain to drop me where I stand, but my hands remain steady on the spackling container, my breathing even. I complete my purchase and walk to my car, where I sit gripping the steering wheel. Later, I tell Daniel, it hurt less than I expected. The realization arrives like a revelation. Their emotional hold is weakening. Strangers can't break your heart twice. Tell us about a time you overcame a significant professional challenge, says the woman on my laptop screen, her voice slightly distorted through my cheap speakers. I'm dressed in the blazer from Daniel's gift card, sitting at my folding table, now draped with a tablecloth to look more professional for this video interview. Behind me, I've hung a curtain to hide my futon. When I lost my previous position unexpectedly, I begin the carefully rehearsed answer flowing naturally. I had to rebuild my professional network from scratch. I started at entry level in a new industry, identified mentors willing to teach me, and earned 3 promotions within 9 months. I don't mention family betrayal or false accusations. Some details don't belong on resumes. The pastry school application sits completed on my table, a small portfolio of dessert photos tucked inside creations from my tiny kitchen, each one representing hours of practice after long warehouse shifts. Recommendation letters from my new manager and 2 clients praise my attention to detail and perseverance. My scholarship essay begins. True strength isn't avoiding hardship, but finding purpose within it. When the notification appears on my phone as updance, followed by an offer of partial scholarship, the quiet celebration feels more meaningful than any elaborate party. I touched the pastry school acceptance letter, now framed beside my bed. 2 years ago, they said I'd never amount to anything. I whispered in my empty apartment. For the first time in years, my smile reaches my eyes. The last nail goes into the wall, and I hang the framed acceptance letter where I'll see it first thing every morning. My tiny apartment finally feels like a launching pad rather than a fallback position. My phone rings, an unknown number lighting up the screen. I almost let it go to voicemail, probably another credit card offer, but something compels me to answer. Charlotte. The voice sends electricity through my body. My mother. 2 years of silence shattered in a single word. My heartbeat thunders in my ears as I struggle to find my voice. Yes? We need to talk to you. A pause, heavy with unspoken history. Then the 3 words that could unravel everything I've built. We found the ring. I arrive at Riverdale Coffee 20 minutes early, slipping into the corner table that offers a clear view of both entrances. The chair's wooden back presses against my spine as I position myself with the wall behind me. A defensive posture, but necessary. Daniel's text chirps from my pocket. I'm parked across the street, 1 word, and I'm inside. I type back. I'm fine. Just stay close. When I glance up from my phone, they're already walking through the door, 3 figures, moving as a unit, just as they always have. Dad's shoulders slope more than I remember. Mom's hair shows more gray, and Vanessa's designer coat hangs slightly looser on her frame. 4 years carves itself differently on each face. They spot me and falter briefly before approaching. No one moves to hug me. Good. I wouldn't have known what to do with my arms anyway. Charlotte. Dad says, my name sounding foreign in his mouth after so long. Mom's eyes dart across my face, cataloging changes. You look well. Professional, Vanessa adds, as if surprised. I gesture to the empty chairs. Sit. The vinyl cushions squeak as they arrange themselves opposite me. Mom immediately fiddles with her napkin, folding it into smaller and smaller triangles. Dad's throat works with unspoken words. Vanessa's left hand trembles slightly, her wedding ring catching the overhead light. You said you found the ring. My voice comes out steadier than I expected. Dad clears his throat. Yes, during the kitchen renovation last month. He can't quite meet my eyes. Behind the counter, in that gap near the sink. Vanessa leans forward. I remember now. I was cooking that night. Took it off because the dough was sticky. Her voice cracks. I must have knocked it off the counter. We jump to conclusions. Mom whispers, her napkin now a crumpled mess. The words hang in the air between us. Inadequate and late. Yes, I say, you did. Silence fills our table while around us. The coffee shop bustles with normal life baristas calling out orders. The hiss of espresso machines, strangers laughing together. We can be a family again. Vanessa blurts out, tear tracks already marking her makeup. Now that we know the truth. I take a slow sip of my coffee, setting the mug back on the table with deliberate precision. From my shoulder bag, I remove a manila folder and place it between us. This is what your accusations cost me. Dad flips it open. Inside are newspaper clippings with my name splashed across the local gossip column, screenshots of Vanessa's social media posts about betrayal within my own family, a termination letter from my former employer citing character concerns, and bank statements showing my climb from zero to stability. Dad blanches. We can help you get back on your feet. Financially, I mean. A laugh escapes me. Sharp and genuine. I've been on my feet for years without you. You made a terrible mistake, Mom says, her voice small. I need my sister back, Vanessa pleads, reaching across the table. I don't extend my hand to meet hers. I'm not the same person you threw away. Time stretches between us as they absorb this. I watch comprehension dawn in 3 different ways, Dad's jaw tightening, Mom's shoulders sagging, Vanessa's eyes widening. Since you last saw me, I continue. I've been promoted twice. Supervised 16 people. I completed my pastry certification with distinction. I have my own apartment. Each achievement lands like a stone between us. I did all of this without a single dollar or word of encouragement from any of you. Dad shifts in his seat. You didn't need us after all. His words reveal how little he understands. I needed you, I correct him quietly. I just learned to live without you. Mom dabs at fresh tears. This time, they seem genuine. Vanessa leans forward eagerly. So you forgive us, right? You'll come to Sunday dinner? Mom's making pot roast this weekend. I take another deliberate sip of coffee, feeling their anticipation build. 4 years ago, I would have jumped at this opening, grateful for any crumb of acceptance. Forgiveness and reconciliation aren't the same thing, I say finally. What does that mean? Vanessa's voice rises slightly. It means I can forgive without pretending nothing happened. It means I decide the terms of our relationship now. I meet each of their gazes in turn. No Sunday dinners yet, coffee once a month. Phone calls maybe. We start small and see where it goes. But we're family, Mom protests. Family doesn't evict family on suspicion, I reply evenly. Family doesn't destroy reputations without proof. Family believes in each other. I stand, dropping cash on the table for my coffee. You'll need to earn that word back. I shoulder my bag and walk away, the rhythmic click of my boots against the tile floor punctuating my exit. Through the window, I see their reflections watching me go. 3 faces wearing identical expressions of dawning realization I am no longer theirs to summon or dismiss. Daniel straightens as I approach his car. How did it go? I slide into the passenger seat and buckle my seatbelt before answering. They found the ring, I say, but I found myself. My phone vibrates in my pocket. I pull it out to find an email notification glowing on the screen, the job offer in Texas, officially extended. A door opening to a future where I'm defined by where I'm going, not where I've been. Daniel raises an eyebrow. Good news? I smile, the first genuine one of the day. The best kind. Options. I smooth my napkin across my lap as my mother refills my water glass for the 3rd time. The late afternoon sun slants through my apartment windows, catching the edges of the framed pastry school certificate on my wall. 6 months of careful, measured family reconnection has established a rhythm I can almost predict. Mom's nervous chatter, Dad's cautious questions about my job, Vanessa's overeager compliments on everything from my throw pillows to my haircut. Charlotte, these lemon bars are divine, Vanessa says, brushing crumbs from her lips. You've always had such a gift. I nod my thanks, the words unlike you hanging unspoken between us. Despite the ring's discovery and their tearful apologies, something essential remains broken. Their sudden interest in my culinary talents feels like discovering water in the desert after dying of thirst. Welcome, but far too late. Your apartment is so cozy, Mom says, her eyes darting to the compact kitchen where I've maximized every inch of counter space. I recognize the familiar pattern her praise, always carrying a hidden asterisk. It suits me, I reply, the firmness in my voice surprising even me. I've made it exactly what I need. Dad clears his throat. the sound I've come to recognize as his preparation for broaching difficult topics. The hospital is looking for a new office manager in billing. Margaret heard about it from Susan Rivers. The pay is better than whatever they're giving you at that warehouse. And you'd be closer to home. Home. The word lands like a stone in still water, ripples of meaning expanding outward. Their home was never truly mine, just a place where I existed in their shadow. I take a deliberate sip of water, feeling the weight of the sealed envelope in my desk drawer. The job offer from Holden Logistics in Austin, complete with relocation bonus and health benefits. The culmination of 6 months of late-night applications and video interviews conducted in my supervisor's office after my shifts ended. Actually, I say, setting my glass down carefully, I have some news. 3 pairs of eyes fix on me with varying degrees of expectation. I've carefully maintained our Sunday coffee meetings while declining dinner invitations, birthday celebrations, and holiday gatherings. Each boundary I've established has been met with thinly veiled disappointment, each limit tested like a child pressing against a newly erected fence. I've accepted a position as regional logistics manager for Holden Transportation in Texas. I start in 3 weeks. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the refrigerator's constant hum seems to pause in recognition of the moment's weight. Texas? My mother's voice rises an octave, her hand flying to her throat. But we just found you again. You can't be serious, Dad says, leaning forward. After everything we've done to make amends, Vanessa's eyes fill with tears, right on cue. You're punishing us deliberately. We've apologized 1,000 ways. And there it is, the immediate centering of themselves in my narrative. My opportunity, my achievement, my future, immediately reduced to a reaction to them. 6 months of cautious reconciliation crashes against the rocks of their self-absorption. This isn't about you, I say, the words emerging with a calmness that belies the thundering of my heart. This is about my career, my future. Your future is here, with your family, Mom insists, reaching for my hand across the table. I pull back slightly, just enough to maintain the physical boundary. There's my emotional one. My hands begin to tremble, not with the old familiar anxiety, but with something electric and unfamiliar. 6 months of measured smiles, careful nods, and swallowed responses surge upward like a tide I can no longer contain. For half a year, I've calibrated every word, monitored every expression, maintained perfect control in their presence. Not anymore. My coffee cup clatters against its saucer as I set it down too hard. The sudden sound makes Vanessa jump. You didn't just accuse me, I say, my voice breaking free of the controlled politeness I've maintained for months. My words come faster, louder, untethered from my usual restraint. You condemned me without trial. You destroyed my reputation, cost me my job, and threw me out with nothing but a suitcase. I stand abruptly, knocking my chair back. My mother gasps. I've never moved so suddenly, spoken so forcefully in her presence. The Charlotte they know doesn't disrupt, doesn't demand, doesn't disturb the careful performance of family harmony. I stride to the window, my reflection showing flushed cheeks and bright eyes I barely recognize. The evening shadows lengthen across the parking lot as something long buried in me finally reaches daylight. Do you know how many holidays I spent alone? My voice rises with each word. Tears I've never allowed them to see now streaming freely down my face. How many achievements I celebrated without family. The first time I sold pastries at the farmer's market, I looked up expecting to see you, forgetting for just a moment that you weren't there, that you chose not to be there. I spin around to face them, these strangers who share my blood but not my battles. My chest heaves with ragged breaths. For the first time in my life, I make no effort to appear smaller, quieter, more acceptable in their eyes. You're not sad I'm leaving. The truth bursts from me, raw and unfiltered. You're sad you can't control my forgiveness timeline. Dad's face hardens, then softens in a way I've rarely seen. Beneath his anger, something like respect flickers. We deserved that, he admits, the words seemingly wrenched from him. Mom dabs at her eyes, but for once, her tears seem genuine rather than performative. I'm so sorry, Charlotte. Not just for what happened, but for how we've handled everything since. We've been trying to fix us without seeing you. Vanessa stands, smoothing her designer jeans with shaking hands. We don't deserve your forgiveness. This move isn't about forgiveness or punishment, I clarify, feeling strangely lighter. It's about building the life I want, not rebuilding what was taken. The conversation shifts then. Tentative questions about my new position, the apartment I'll be searching for in Austin. When they finally leave, the goodbye is subdued, but marked by a new understanding, perhaps the first honest exchange we've had in years. I stand at my sink washing dishes, watching my reflection in the darkened window. The night envelops the world outside, while inside, the warm lights of my small apartment, my creation, my sanctuary illuminate the woman I've become. My phone buzzes with a text from Daniel. Proud of you. Texas won't know what hit it. I smile, touching the frame of a photo taken at my pastry school graduation. Daniel, Emma, and the others who became my chosen family. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying to fight, but knowing when to walk away. I stand in my kitchen in Austin, sliding freshly baked maple pecan tarts into white bakery boxes. Morning light streams through the window, catching on the certificate hanging on my wall. Charlotte Morgan, Pastry Art Certification. The apartment smells of butter and sugar, of possibility. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. Sold out again this weekend? I smile as I reply, 30 orders. Had to turn people away. The weekend pastry business started as a way to keep my skills sharp while working at Meridian Logistics. But word has spread. 3 weekends ago, the food editor from the local paper called. The review comes out next week. The kitchen timer chimes and I slide on oven mitts to retrieve the last batch. These are for Mrs. Hernandez in 4B, who reminds me of what a grandmother should be. She tells stories of her own fresh start in Texas 40 years ago, listens without judgment, and declares my pastries worth the extra insulin. My reflection catches in the oven door, shoulders straight, eyes clear. I barely recognize the woman who arrived in Texas 1 year ago, carrying more emotional baggage than physical belongings. The Christmas tree in the corner is small but perfect, decorated with ornaments I've collected in my new life. No heirlooms, no history, just fresh beginnings. Daniel is flying in tomorrow, bringing a box of snow from Nebraska. So you don't forget your roots, he joked on our last video call. But my roots have changed, growing in new soil. Across my dining table are applications from 3 young women seeking mentorship through the Fresh Start program I launched at work. Women facing family estrangement, domestic disruption, financial crisis. Women like I was. Family isn't just who raises you, it's who lifts you up. I tell Jasmine, my current mentee, during our Tuesday lunch meetings. Sometimes the hardest thing is letting go of who you thought they were. I sealed the last box with a sticker bearing my logo, a simple oak tree with spreading branches. Ironic, perhaps, but the oak in our backyard was the one place where Vanessa and I found common ground. Some roots feed you, others just hold you in place. Vanessa's letter sits on my counter, read twice since it arrived yesterday. Unlike her previous communications, this one contains no guilt, no demands for instant forgiveness. Just photos of Mom's birthday, Dad's retirement party, their new puppy. At the end, a single line, we're learning to respect your boundaries. Too little, too late? Maybe. But as Daniel says, healing happens on your timeline, not theirs. The suitcase lies open on my bed as I carefully pack specialty pastries in travel containers. Cranberry orange scones, chocolate bourbon pecan tarts, gingerbread cookies with lemon glaze. Not peace offerings. Gifts. There's a difference. Tomorrow I fly back to Nebraska for the first time since I left. Not for Christmas, I'm spending that with friends here, but for a brief visit before the holiday. On my terms. 3 nights in a hotel, not in my childhood home. My phone pings with an email notification. A storefront is available for weekend lease in the Arts District. Perfect for a pastry shop that's outgrowing my apartment kitchen. I've run the numbers. With my logistics salary and growing customer base, it's viable. Daniel's latest text appears. Just got approved for the transfer request. Texas by March if you'll have me. I smile, warmth spreading through my chest. The universe expanding rather than contracting. The Nebraska air hits my face like a slap of memory as Daniel and I exit the rental car in front of my parents' house. Frost crunches beneath my boots. My breath forms clouds that dissipate in seconds, like so many things I once thought permanent. Ready? Daniel asks, carrying the pastry boxes. I nod, straightening my shoulders. Just a visitor. Not seeking a home. Mom opens the door before we reach it. She's aged, hair grayer than in my memory. Her arms twitch as if to hug me, then fall back to her sides, respecting the boundary I established in our last phone call. Charlotte, she says, voice tight with emotion, you look wonderful. Dad appears behind her, nodding stiffly. Vanessa hovers in the living room doorway, uncertainty written across her face. Inside, the house smells the same. Mom's potpourri. Dad's pipe tobacco lingering despite his quitting years ago. Familiar furniture, familiar photos, but the space feels smaller, compressed by time and distance. Your hair is different, Vanessa offers. Yes. I touch the shoulder. Length cut, styled with confidence rather than pulled back to disappear. Texas is hot. Conversation stutters and starts around the dining room table. Mom mentions church friends I barely remember. Dad asks carefully about my job, genuinely impressed when I explain my role managing international shipping logistics. Vanessa's husband, James, is conspicuously absent. He's working, she explains, twisting her wedding ring. He says hello. I don't believe her, but it doesn't matter anymore. After dinner, I step out the back door into the cold night air. The oak tree stands silhouetted against the star-speckled sky, exactly where it's always been. But something's different. It looks smaller, Daniel says, joining me with 2 steaming mugs of coffee. I accept one, warming my hands around the ceramic. I was just thinking that. I used to think it touched the clouds. We stand in companionable silence, watching our breath mist and fade. Above us, Orion's belt gleams clear and bright, the same stars I see from my apartment balcony in Texas. You know what's strange? I sip the coffee. I expected to feel something dramatic. Vindication. Resentment. Something. But mostly I feel peace, Daniel suggests. Perspective. I correct him. I can see the whole picture now. Them. Me. This tree. I gesture with my mug. It's just a tree. Not a monument. Not a metaphor. Just a living thing that grew as best it could with the light it was given. Daniel bumps my shoulder gently with his. Like someone else I know. Inside, I hear Vanessa's laugh, Mom's response. Life continuing, with or without me at its center. And that's okay. My phone vibrates in my pocket, a text from Mrs. Hernandez about tomorrow's pastry order. Worlds away. The message includes a photo of the Texas night sky with a caption, "Same stars watching over you there and here." I smile at the coincidence, at the truth of it. Some connections remain unbroken by distance or time. Others are forged anew, stronger for being chosen rather than inherited. The family that raised me gave me roots. The family I chose gave me wings. But the strength to use those wings, that came from learning to stand alone. As I look up one last time at the sky, arching over my past and my future, I know with quiet certainty that I'm exactly where I need to be, on the path I've carved with my own hands, under stars that shine in both worlds.
I stand frozen in my doorway, the mail clutched in my trembling hand, unable to move or breathe or think. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across my meticulously swept porch, highlighting the stark line where my property ends and the chaos begins. Dog toys scatter the lawn like landmines. Weeds choke my carefully planted marigolds, and there, dominating what was once my peaceful side yard, sits Monica's trailer, a monument to my greatest mistake. But it's the paper in my hand that turns my blood to ice water. Final warning, account number 4582 overdue. I stare at the bold red letters, my mind refusing to process their meaning. The envelope is addressed to me, Samantha Blake, but the account number is unfamiliar. The company name belongs to a credit card I've never owned. But I don't have a credit card with this company, I whisper to the empty air. 3 months. That's all it took for my life to unravel like a cheap sweater. I remember the night Monica showed up on my doorstep, her mascara creating dark rivers down her cheeks, her 3 children huddled behind her like frightened ducklings. Rain had plastered her hair to her head, and she clutched black garbage bags stuffed with what remained of their belongings. The storm had seemed like perfect dramatic timing, as if the universe itself was directing the scene for maximum impact. "It's just until I get back on my feet after the divorce," she'd promised, her voice breaking in all the right places. "Just a few weeks, Sammy. Please." I'd hesitated, my hand tight on the doorknob. Something in my gut had whispered caution, but how do you turn away your only sister and her children on a stormy night? How do you explain that cold feeling of dread that has no logical basis? You don't. So I'd stepped aside. "Of course," I'd said. "Come in." It took exactly 8 days for the vulnerability to vanish from Monica's eyes, replaced by something I should have recognized sooner: entitlement. The way she draped herself across my couch, flipping through channels on my television, the casual way she helped herself to the food I'd carefully budgeted for the month. "You know what would make this easier?" Monica had suggested 2 weeks in, her voice light as she painted her nails at my kitchen table. "We should streamline the bills, put everything under one name so we don't get confused." I remember nodding, grateful for what seemed like responsibility. What I didn't notice was how she never suggested using her name. Now my once peaceful home vibrates with constant noise. Cabinet doors slam at midnight. Unfamiliar children argue over cereal bowls I don't recognize. The bathroom I once kept spotless now sports mysterious stains and empty shampoo bottles. Meanwhile, the excuses pile up faster than the bills. I had an interview, but the pay was insulting. "The kids need me right now. They're traumatized." That job wanted weekends. Who would watch the children? Each explanation sounds reasonable in isolation. Together, they form a pattern I've been too blind or too cowardly to acknowledge. I clutch the bill tighter, paper crinkling under my fingers. My parents' words from yesterday's phone call echo in my ears. "She's going through a rough time, Samantha," Dad had said, his tone carrying that familiar note of disappointment, as if I were still 10 years old, refusing to share my toys. "You've always been the responsible one," Mom added. "Can't you be a little understanding?" What they never see is how Monica performs for them, voice softening, eyes widening, the perfect portrait of a struggling single mother. What they never hear are the late-night parties when she thinks I'm asleep, the phone calls where she laughs about living rent-free. Last weekend, Diane canceled our monthly coffee date, the third friend, to find excuses not to visit since Monica arrived. "It's just a bit chaotic at your place now," she'd said delicately. I'd felt the walls closing in then, but nothing compared to this moment. Last night, I'd found them while taking out the recycling empty liquor bottles hidden under crumpled newspaper. Expensive brands I could never afford, purchased the same day Monica claimed she couldn't contribute to the water bill because she was completely broke. I confronted her in the kitchen while her children slept. "You really think I'd let a few stupid bills ruin my fun?" She'd laughed, not even bothering to deny it. "Lighten up, Sammy. It's not the end of the world." But before I could respond, her oldest had appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep-swollen eyes. "Mommy, is Aunt Sam being mean again?" And just like that, the argument ended, Monica scooping up her daughter, throwing me a triumphant glance over the child's shoulder. I retreat to my bedroom now, the only space still truly mine, and close the door with a quiet click. Sitting on the edge of my perfectly made bed, I spread the financial warning notice on my lap and trace the unfamiliar account number with my fingertip. A terrible suspicion takes root in my chest. This isn't just about unpaid bills or boundary violations or the slow colonization of my space. This is something far worse. And it's only just beginning. I spread my financial documents across the kitchen table at 5 a.m., the only hour Monica's chaos machine falls silent. The morning light hasn't yet cracked the horizon, and in this temporary stillness I can finally think. My hands shake as I type my credentials into the credit monitoring site I haven't checked in months. I've always been meticulous about my finance regular payments, modest savings, credit score like a badge of honor. The irony isn't lost on me. The screen refreshes and my blood turns to ice. That's not possible, I whisper to the empty kitchen. An unfamiliar credit card shows a $12,000 balance. The company name matches the collection notice from yesterday. I click through to transaction details, my breath catching with each new revelation. A $400 charge at Nordstrom, $1,200 at Best Buy, $800 at Macy's. Dates align perfectly with Monica's sudden shopping sprees. The new designer bag she claimed was a gift from an old friend. The high-end laptop for her oldest, because the school requires it. The expensive clothes her children now wear to replace the shabby ones they arrived in. My stomach lurches. I've been robbed by my own blood. I switch to methodical analysis, the only defense I have against the rising panic. Each transaction gets color-coded in my notebook. Red for purchases I've physically seen in Monica's possession, blue for dates when strange packages arrived, yellow for suspicious gaps in the mail delivery. 3 hours later, the evidence is undeniable. My kitchen table has become a crime scene board with purchase locations, timestamps, and photographic evidence of items bought with my stolen identity. I reach for my phone with numb fingers and pull up the security app connected to the doorbell camera I installed last month, not out of suspicion, but because of a string of package thefts in the neighborhood. I scroll back through footage, searching for mail deliveries. There she is. Monica, casually checking my mailbox at 2:15 p.m., exactly when I'm in my weekly team meeting at work. She shuffles through envelopes, pockets several, and replaces others. Her expression shows no guilt, no hesitation, just the practiced efficiency of someone who's done this many times before. I replay the clip, focusing on the envelopes. The freeze frame reveals my tax documents, the ones I've been searching for, the ones she claimed must have been lost in the mail. A knock at my bedroom door startles me. I glance at the clock, 7:30 a.m. Monica never rises before 10. Just checking if you have any coffee made. She calls through the door, voice sweet with manufactured concern. You're up early. I slide my laptop closed, covering the evidence with a stack of magazines. Making some now, I reply, amazed at how steady my voice sounds when everything inside me is screaming. Great. Hey, did I mention the cute boots I found on sale yesterday? Perfect for the winter. You should get some too. You deserve to treat yourself sometimes, Sammy. The casual mention of yet another purchase when she claimed poverty last week ignites something inside me. I record her voice on my phone, capturing the timestamp, more evidence. After she retreats to the bathroom, I call in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. This can't wait. My first call is to the credit card company's fraud department. The representative's voice shifts from professional to sympathetic as I explain the situation. Unfortunately, we see this type of family fraud more often than you'd think, she says, creating a case number for me. The good news is you've caught it relatively early and have substantial evidence. My second call is to Monica's ex-husband, a conversation I've avoided for months out of misplaced loyalty. I wish I could say I'm surprised, he says after I explain the situation. His voice carries the weight of someone who's been through this before. She did the same to me, twice. That's why I finally left, not because I stopped loving her, but because I couldn't protect the kids if I couldn't even protect myself. He confirms what I'm beginning to understand. This isn't a desperate act of a struggling single mother. It's a calculated pattern, a diagnosis of bipolar disorder left untreated, financial exploitation disguised as survival. By afternoon, unexpected allies have emerged. My coworker Lisa brings lunch and shares her own story of family identity theft. The neighbor across the street offers security footage showing Monica intercepting my mail multiple times. The bank manager flags my accounts with extra protection. I wait until evening, when the kids are distracted by tablets in their room. Monica lounges on my couch, the one I'm still making payments on, scrolling through her phone. I place the credit card statement on the coffee table between us. "What's this?" she asks, barely glancing up. $12,000 of debt in my name, for purchases you made. Her expression shifts instantly from disinterest to dismissal in a heartbeat. "What's a few grand to you? You've always been so uptight about money." When my silence continues, her strategy pivots. Her eyes fill with tears, her voice breaks perfectly. "I was desperate for the kids. After everything we've been through, how could you even think I'd—" "Don't." My voice is quiet but firm. "They're running the security footage from Target right now, and Nordstrom, and the mailbox camera. It's all documented." On cue, her oldest appears in the doorway, clutching her teddy bear. "Mommy, are you sad again?" Monica opens her arms, the perfect portrait of a mother wronged. "It's okay, sweetie. Aunt Sam is just having a hard time understanding how families help each other." I meet Monica's gaze over her daughter's head, something hardening inside me like concrete setting. "This isn't just about money anymore," I say softly, "and we both know it." Monica's voice carries through the thin walls of my house, her laughter sharp as broken glass. "Don't worry, I've got her wrapped around my finger. She's not going anywhere." I stand motionless in the hallway, dinner plate cooling in my hands, the words slice through me, confirming what I've suspected for weeks. This isn't family helping family, this is predator and prey. I place the plate on the counter untouched and retreat to my bedroom, the only space still recognizably mine. 3 months ago, I would have confronted her, voice shaking, only to crumble under her tears. Tonight, I simply open my leather-bound notebook, the one I bought last week after discovering the fraudulent credit card, and make another entry. The 16th of April. Monica openly admits to manipulating me, claims to have me wrapped around her finger, said to unknown person on phone at 7:42 p.m. The page joins dozens of others' meticulously documented incidents, dates, times, and witnesses. My handwriting has grown steadier with each entry. Outside my window, Monica's trailer has sprouted an addition, a makeshift dog run where 3 mutts now bark at passing cars. The wooden fence I painted last summer has been partially dismantled, the planks repurposed to build a rickety doghouse. My carefully tended garden beds lie trampled, the spring bulbs I planted last fall crushed beneath carelessly discarded toys. I close the curtains and open my laptop. Tonight's research: identity theft laws in our state. I've become something of an expert over the past 2 weeks, staying up late after Monica and her children have gone to sleep. My eyes burn from lack of rest, but my mind has never been clearer. Aunt Sam doesn't want us to eat tonight. Monica's youngest whispers loudly enough for me to hear from the kitchen. I grip the refrigerator door, knuckles white. "It's not that I don't want you to eat," I say evenly, closing the refrigerator. "It's that the grocery money I gave your mom last week was supposed to last until Friday." Monica appears in the doorway, arms crossed. She's wearing a new blouse I've never seen, tags still attached and partially hidden under her hair. "Way to make my kids feel like a burden, Sam." Her voice drips with practiced hurt. "They're growing children, they can't help being hungry." I meet her gaze directly. "No." The single word hangs between us. Monica's eyes widen slightly. "What do you mean, no?" She laughs, but there's uncertainty in it. "I mean no, I'm not giving you more grocery money. The $200 I gave you 6 days ago should have been more than sufficient." My voice remains steady, almost clinical. "Seriously? You're going to be this petty? Fine." She turns to her son. "Guess we'll have to figure something out, sweetie. Aunt Sam's having one of her moments." But I notice something new. A flicker of unease crosses her face when I don't immediately backpedal or apologize. I return to chopping vegetables for my own dinner, the knife blade reflecting the kitchen light with each decisive cut. "You cannot possibly expect me to believe that your sister would deliberately steal your identity." My mother's voice crackles through the phone. "She's going through a difficult time, Samantha." I sit in my car outside the law office, 15 minutes early for my appointment. "Mom, I have the evidence. I've shown you the credit card statements." "Well, there must be some misunderstanding. Have you tried talking to her? Family helps family, you know." I watch a young couple emerge from the attorney's office, the woman clutching papers to her chest. I wonder what crisis brought them here. Mom, did Mrs. Carroll from across the street call you? My mother hesitates. She might have mentioned running into you and Monica at the supermarket yesterday. She said there seemed to be some tension. What my mother doesn't know is that Monica had spent that entire shopping trip loudly proclaiming to anyone who would listen that I was threatening to make my children homeless, and that family means nothing anymore. I have to go, Mom. I have an appointment. Mr. Levinson, the financial crimes attorney, doesn't look like the lawyers from television. He's a grandfatherly man with suspenders and reading glasses that hang from a chain around his neck. His office smells like coffee and old books. Identity theft is always a violation, he says after reviewing my documents. When it's family, it's also a betrayal of trust. But you've done everything right so far, Miss Blake. I've brought my notebook, the statements, the recordings, the photographs, all of it organized chronologically in a expanding file folder. Most victims don't document this thoroughly, he observes, examining my timeline. I'm a compliance analyst, I explain. Documentation is what I do. He nods approvingly. The district attorney will appreciate that. Most cases like this are messy, emotional. You've made this straightforward. I feel an unexpected surge of pride. In my family, being called too organized or obsessively neat were always criticisms. Here, it's strength. The security cameras arrive in plain packaging. I install them myself on a Tuesday when Monica has taken her children to the community pool aimed at the front porch, one at the mailbox, and one discreetly covering the side yard where her trailer sits. The instruction manual is straightforward, and I follow it with the same precision I bring to my job. That evening, I receive notification on my phone when Monica checks my mailbox, rifling through letters before taking them to her trailer instead of bringing them to the house. I watch the footage 3 times, noting the time 5:37 p.m., another entry for my notebook. At the bank, I open new accounts at a different branch across town. The banker raises an eyebrow when I request that no mail be sent to my home address. I'd like statements sent to my P.O. box only, I explain, and I need a credit freeze on all 3 bureaus. Identity theft concerns? She asks sympathetically. You could say that. Later that week, Monica sprawls across my couch, scrolling through her phone. Hey, can you co-sign for a car loan? Just until my credit recovers from the divorce. 2 months ago, I would have hesitated, then reluctantly agreed. Now I look up from my book. No, I don't think that would be wise. She sits up, surprised. What's that supposed to mean? It means no. I turn a page, not elaborating. What's going on with you lately? Monica's voice shifts to something harder. You've been different. I place a bookmark between the pages and meet her gaze. Have I? You know you have. All secretive and, I don't know, cold. I consider her for a moment. I've just realized what's really important to me. And what's that? Not helping your only sister? Her voice rises, the familiar tremor of impending tears appearing right on cue. No, Monica. It's honoring my own boundaries. Boundaries? She scoffs. Since when did family have boundaries? We're blood, Sammy. Or have you forgotten what that means? After everything I've been through, everything we shared growing up, this is how you treat me. I used to feel my chest tighten at this point, my resolve crumbling under the weight of obligation. Tonight, I feel nothing but a quiet certainty. That doesn't work on me anymore, I say softly. For just a moment, Monica's mask slips completely. Rage flashes across her features, raw and unfiltered, before she quickly composes herself. I don't know what you're talking about, she says, but there's uncertainty in her voice now. She rises from the couch, phone clutched in her hand. I'm going to check on the kids. As she walks away, I notice the slight stiffness in her shoulders, the quick glance back to see if I'm watching. For the first time since she arrived on my doorstep, Monica looks nervous. That night, I sleep without waking, my notebook secure in its new hiding place beneath the loose floorboard under my bed. Tomorrow, I'll begin moving Monica's scattered belongings from my house back to her trailer slowly, systematically, without confrontation. The balance of power has shifted, and we both know it. My revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's methodical, documented, and absolutely certain, like the steady tick of a clock counting down to 0. The manila folder weighs nothing in my hands, yet it feels as heavy as all the months of Monica's betrayal combined. Inside are copies of every document that proves what she's done to meet the identity theft reports for all 3 credit bureaus, neatly paper-clipped with my case numbers highlighted in yellow. I've done this right, methodical, by the book. I sit in the police station's hard plastic chair, my back perfectly straight, voice steady as I walk Officer Harmon through my evidence. "And you're certain your sister is responsible?" he asks, his pen hovering over his notepad. I can read the skepticism in the lines around his mouth, the same doubt I've seen on every face when I explain that yes, my own flesh and blood did this to me. "Yes," I say, sliding the next document across his desk. This is the transaction record from the fraudulent card, showing purchases at Nordstrom on the 12th of March. I place another paper beside it. "And this is a Facebook post my sister made the same day, wearing the dress she purchased, still with tags visible. You can see the price matches exactly." His eyebrows lift slightly. He wasn't expecting this level of detail. "I have everything documented." I continue, voice low but firm. Times, dates, amounts. Security footage from the mall shows her using the card. It's all there. As I walk to my car afterwards, phone clutched in my hand, I feel something I haven't experienced in months, the first stirrings of control returning to my life. "The fraud department called this morning to confirm they're launching an official investigation. The credit bureaus have flagged my accounts. The police report is filed. All the pieces are in place. The paper fortress I've built stands between Monica and me, between chaos and order. I've waited, gathering every shred of evidence before making my move, knowing there would be only one chance to do this right." My phone vibrates a text from the credit card company. They've officially credited back the fraudulent charges while the investigation proceeds. A small victory, but it fuels something warm in my chest. The triumph is short-lived. It's 2:17 a.m. when the pounding starts me, front door shuddering under Monica's fists. I sit up in bed, heart hammering, though some distant part of me has been waiting for this moment. "Samantha Blake, open this door right now!" Her voice carries through the wood, slurred with what I recognize as her third glass of wine tone. I slip from my bed, pulling on my robe, but I don't approach the door. "How could you do this to family?" she screams. "To your own sister? To my children?" There it is, the manipulation tactic that's worked for decades. My nieces and nephew become shields whenever Monica needs leverage. "The police came to my home, Sam, in front of my babies." Her voice breaks in exactly the right places. "They're traumatized. Is that what you wanted?" I stand in my darkened living room, watching her shadow move behind the porch light. My hands tremble, but I keep them clasped tightly together. "You're trying to destroy me," she sobs, her fist weakening against the door. "Mom and Dad are heartbroken. Everyone thinks you've lost your mind attacking your own family when we needed you most." My phone lights up on the coffee table. A text from our mother. "Please call us, Samantha. There must be a better way to work this out within the family." Monica's voice drops to a dangerous whisper, one I can barely hear through the door. "If you don't withdraw those reports by tomorrow, I swear to God I'll make you regret it. Remember your precious garden, your car, that little collection of antique teacups? Amazing how quickly things break, isn't it?" I close my eyes, listening to my niece's voice, now small and confused behind her mother. "Mommy, why won't Aunt Sam let us in? It's cold out here." The doubt creeps in, familiar as an old sweater. Have I gone too far? Should I open the door, try once more to reason with her? Those children didn't ask for any of this. But then I hear it, Monica's whispered instruction. "Cry louder, honey. Make it sound really sad." And just like that, clarity returns, sharp as winter air. I remember every calculated lie, every stolen dollar. Every moment my life was dismantled while I stood by, telling myself it was temporary. That family comes first. I pick up my phone, turn on the voice recorder app, and place it near the door. Each threat Monica utters feeds the evidence file that already bulges with proof of her betrayal. What she doesn't know is that this isn't just about me anymore. Yesterday, the fraud investigator called with news that left me lightheaded. "Miss Blake, we've identified 6 other cases with the same pattern. Your sister appears to have done this before." I sit on my couch in the darkness, listening as Monica's threats eventually dissolve into defeated silence. She doesn't know about the neighbors who've provided statements about her mail theft. Doesn't know about the security footage from 3 different stores. Doesn't realize her friends have begun distancing themselves, disturbed by what they've learned. The porch light catches Monica's silhouette as she finally retreats to her trailer. For the first time since she arrived on my doorstep, I feel the corners of my mouth tug upward into something that might almost be a smile. The paper fortress holds, and I am finally on the other side of it. I open my front door before Monica can knock a third time. She stands on my porch, children arranged behind her like chess pieces, the youngest clutching a tattered stuffed rabbit, the oldest 2 with downcast eyes. Perfect little soldiers in her emotional war. 5 minutes, I say, not stepping aside to let them in. Monica's eyes widen, shimmering with tears that appear on command. "Sammy, please! It's starting to rain!" I glance at the clear blue sky overhead, then back at her face. A muscle twitches in my jaw, but I step aside. The children file past me, trained to move silently through my house now, leaving no fingerprints, making no demands, their new invisibility strategy another of Monica's tactics. "I can fix this," Monica says once we're seated in my living room. The children are arranged on the floor near her feet, the youngest leaning against her leg. I've been thinking about it all night. My leather-bound notebook sits open on my lap, a shield of documentation between us. "There's nothing to fix," I say. "The investigation is already underway." "But that's what I'm saying." Monica leans forward, her voice dropping to that conspiratorial whisper I've heard since childhood, the one that always preceded trouble. "I'll pay everything back. Every penny. I've already called Mom and Dad about a loan." The lie slides across her lips with practiced ease. "I checked with our parents this morning. There was no call." "And I'll give you a written confession?" she continues, the words tumbling out faster now. "You can keep it in case I mean, not that I would ever, but just so you feel secure." I notice her oldest daughter watching her mother's performance, memorizing every nuance of manipulation for future use. The realization settles in my stomach like cold lead. "It's too late for that, Monica. After everything we've been through together." Her voice cracks perfectly on the last word. "Remember when Dad lost his job and we shared that tiny bedroom for 3 years? Remember when I held your hand during Mom's surgery? God, Sammy, remember when you had that terrible breakup with David and I drove 6 hours just to bring you ice cream?" Each memory lands like a precision strike, targeting the soft spots in my resolve that only a sibling could know. The difference is that now I see them as weapons, not connections. "I remember," I say quietly. "I also remember the $12,000 in fraudulent charges, the stolen mail, the lies to our parents. I was desperate." A single perfect tear tracks down her cheek. "The kids needed new gaming systems, designer clothes, the $50 bottles of wine I found hidden under your trailer." My voice remains steady, my hand resting on my notebook. "This isn't desperation, Monica. This is who you are." Her children shift uneasily, sensing the change in atmosphere, the middle one always the most perceptive inches away from her mother. "So that's it?" Monica's voice hardens. "You're choosing money over family, over your own flesh and blood?" I meet her gaze steadily. "I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing it because it's right." The shift happens in an instant, the transformation I've seen countless times but never fully acknowledged. The tears vanish. Her posture straightens. The vulnerability evaporates like morning dew under a harsh sun. "You sanctimonious bitch," she hisses, careful to keep her voice low enough that the children won't catch the words. "You think anyone's going to believe you over me? I'll make sure everyone knows what you've done." "They already do," I say. "I've hidden nothing." Something flickers in her eyes, confusion, then the first genuine emotion I've seen from her in months, fear. The sound of car doors closing outside draws her attention to the window. 2 police cruisers pull up beside her trailer, officers stepping out with deliberate purpose. "What did you do?" she whispers. "Nothing. This is what happens when actions have consequences." The officers approach my front door. The rhythmic knock echoes through the suddenly silent room. I rise to answer it, my heart hammering against my ribs but my steps steady. Monica scrambles to her feet, positioning her children in front of her. "Miss Blake?" The female officer glances from me to Monica. We have the results of the investigation you initiated. The male officer steps forward, papers in hand. Monica Blake, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of identity theft, mail theft, and credit card fraud. Monica's laugh sounds like breaking glass. This is ridiculous. She's my sister. We share expenses. Tell them, Sam. I say nothing. The truth speaks loudly enough on its own. This was family business. Monica's voice rises as the officers move toward her. She's just jealous. She's always been jealous of me. The youngest child begins to cry, clutching her rabbit tighter. Ma'am, please calm down, the female officer says. We don't want to upset the children. Monica's face contorts. Don't tell me about my children. She lunges forward suddenly, nails aimed at my face. This is your fault. The male officer intercepts her, catching her wrist before she can reach me. That's assault, ma'am. Please don't make this worse. Worse? Monica struggles against his grip. You have no idea what worse looks like. I'll destroy you, Sammy, everything you care about. The handcuffs click into place as her threats echo through my living room. The children watch wide-eyed, the middle one now crying silently. It's okay, I tell them, kneeling to their level as the officers lead Monica toward the door. Everything's going to be okay. A car horn sounds outside. Monica's ex-husband steps out of his SUV, his expression grim but determined. I called him yesterday, explained everything. For once, we found common ground: the children's welfare. Sometimes loving someone means stopping them from hurting themselves and others. I explained to my nieces and nephew as their mother's screams fade into the squad car. Your dad's here to take you home. Mrs. Peterson from next door stands on her porch, watching. The neighbors I haven't seen in months emerge from their houses, witnessing the truth behind the chaos that invaded their quiet street. My phone rings. My parents' number flashes on the screen. For the first time in 3 months, I feel something close to peace. I stand on my front porch, coffee warming my palms against the morning chill. The spring sun crests over the horizon, painting my yard in hues of gold and amber. My yard, those 2 words still bring a smile I can feel in my bones. The fresh mulch around my flower beds smells of earth and possibility. 3 weeks of weekend labor transformed what had become a wasteland of trampled grass and scattered debris. The bare rectangle where Monica's trailer once squatted now boasts rows of marigolds and black-eyed Susan's defiant splashes of color, reclaiming what was taken. I take a long, slow sip of coffee, savoring both the bitter warmth and the profound silence. No doors slamming at midnight, no strange voices arguing over cereal bowls. No walking on eggshells in my own kitchen. Yesterday, I changed the locks and security codes not out of fear, but as a ritual of reclamation. The metallic click of the new deadbolt sliding into place had sounded like freedom itself. Morning, Sam! Mrs. Cardwell calls from next door, watering can in hand. She waves with genuine warmth the neighborly connection I'd missed during those months when everyone avoided my chaos-infected property. Beautiful day. I call back, my voice stronger than it's been in months. Twice a week now, I sit across from Dr. Levine, unpacking the complicated tangle of family loyalty and self-preservation. Betrayal by family creates a unique grief. She'd explained during our first session. You're mourning both the relationship you lost and the one you thought you had. The credit bureau finally removed the fraudulent accounts last week. My FICO score still bears the scars of Monica's betrayal, but the patient woman at the bank assures me that time will heal those wounds too. Structure and patience, the same tools rebuilding both my credit and my life. Dad called yesterday. His voice carried a hesitancy I'd never heard before. Your mother and I have been talking, he'd said, the words coming slowly. We didn't. We should have. I know, I'd replied, saving him from the struggle. But we can do better now. It took my parents 5 months to fully acknowledge how they'd enabled Monica's behavior throughout our lives. Their apology came in stage-halting conversations and tearful admissions that felt like pulling teeth. But it came. Monica starts her court-mandated treatment program next week. Bipolar disorder explains some of her behavior but excuses none of it. Her ex-husband sends occasional updates about the children who are thriving in the structure of his home. Last weekend marked my first supervised visit with them, awkward but healing. My niece Lily had hugged me tightly before leaving. "Dad says you did the right thing?" she'd whispered, even if it was hard. Tonight, 6 carefully chosen friends will gather around my dining table, the first dinner party in my reclaimed sanctuary. I've polished grandmother's silver and arranged fresh flowers in the centerpiece. Every detail of this evening represents a conscious choice, not a desperate accommodation. The contrast isn't lost on me. 1 year ago, this same space was overtaken with Monica's chaos and washed dishes, scattered toys, and a constant soundtrack of arguments. Now, the gleaming surfaces and peaceful atmosphere testify to my reclaimed life. When everyone is seated, I'll raise my glass in the toast I've been rehearsing. To boundaries that protect and truths that heal. The leather-bound notebook that once documented Monica's abuses now holds recipes, garden plans, and a letter I received last week from Monica's oldest child, Lily. "Dear Aunt Sam," she wrote in careful cursive. "Dad says what you did was brave. He says sometimes the kindest thing is stopping someone from hurting themselves and others. I miss you and hope we can have more visits soon. Thank you for helping Mom get the help she needed. I keep that letter between pages documenting my work with the Identity Theft Victim Support Group. Last month, I shared my story there for the first time, how family obligation had blinded me to manipulation, how financial abuse can wear the mask of love. 3 people approached afterward, recognizing the patterns in their own lives. My painful experience now serves as a lighthouse, warning others away from dangerous shores. As the sun rises fully above the horizon, I take a final, satisfied look at my peaceful domain. The chaos has been exorcised, the sanctuary restored. I lift my coffee mug in a silent toast to the woman I've become, one who finally understands that sometimes real love requires hard boundaries. Sometimes freedom means choosing yourself, even when it means standing alone. The morning stretches before me, unscheduled and unhurried. I have nowhere to be until noon, no crisis to manage, no one's emotional weather to navigate but my own. Today marks 1 year of freedom, I whisper to the rising sun. And for the first time in my adult life, I am enough just as I am.